Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness as if it's some rare treasure buried at the end of a perfect day. We're taught from a young age that joy is something that happens to us, something that arrives only when the stars align, when the bills are paid, when everyone finally approves of who we are. But what if that's the biggest lie you've ever been told? The truth is, happiness isn't a reward for surviving chaos or a prize handed out to the lucky few. It's not locked away in a future where everything finally goes your way. In fact, the more you tie your happiness to circumstances, the more you guarantee it will slip through your fingers. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'll be happy when you get the promotion, when you find the right partner, when you finally move out of your current situation?" But every time you reach one of those milestones, the finish line moves. There's always another when. This is the trap that keeps millions stuck in a cycle of waiting, hopping, and feeling empty when life doesn't deliver on their timeline. The world is full of people who have everything they once wished for yet still feel restless, anxious, or unfulfilled. Why? Because they've built their happiness on shifting sand, on things they can't control. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your joy depends on the behavior of others, the state of the economy, or the approval of the crowd, you'll always be at the mercy of forces outside yourself. You become a slave to circumstance, tossed around by every storm, every setback, every opinion. But the moment you realize happiness is an inside job, everything changes. You stop waiting for life to hand you a reason to smile. You start creating your own. And that's when you become truly powerful, because you're no longer just surviving the world around you, you're shaping it from within. But if you think that's the end of the story, you're wrong, because the real secret to daily happiness goes even deeper. If there's one law that quietly shapes every moment of your life, it's this: what you focus on expands. Most people never realize just how powerful their attention really is. They drift through their days, letting their minds latch onto whatever is loudest: bad news, old regrets, the latest drama, or the endless scroll of other people's highlight reels. But your attention isn't just a passive observer. It's the currency of your life, and wherever you spend it, that part of your world multiplies. Imagine your mind as a spotlight in a dark room. Wherever you point it, that area lights up and grows in detail, while everything else fades into the background. If you constantly shine that light on your fears, your losses, or the things you can't control, those shadows will only grow larger. You'll start to see problems everywhere, even in places where none existed before. But if you choose to focus on what's good, what's possible, and what's still within your control, you'll find those things expanding instead. Suddenly, opportunities appear where you once saw only obstacles. Hope grows where there used to be doubt. This isn't just motivational talk, it's backed by science. Studies show that the human brain is wired to notice what it expects to see. If you train your mind to look for negativity, you'll find it everywhere. But if you deliberately direct your focus toward gratitude, growth, and possibility, your brain will start to filter the world through that lens. It's like tuning a radio. You can choose which frequency you want to live on. Real-life stories prove this over and over. There are people who have lost fortunes, faced betrayal, or endured heartbreak, yet they walk through life with a quiet peace that seems unbreakable. What's their secret? They've mastered the art of focus. They refuse to let their attention be hijacked by every setback or disappointment. Instead, they invested in thoughts and actions that build them up, not break them down. But here's the catch: focus is a discipline, not a default. The world will always try to pull your attention toward chaos, fear, and distraction. Every headline, every notification, every complaint from someone else is a bid for your mental energy. If you don't take control, you'll end up living in reaction to whatever is loudest instead of what matters most. So ask yourself, where are you spending the currency of your attention? Are you investing it in what strengthens you, or are you letting it drain away on things that only make you feel powerless? The answer to that question will determine the quality of your happiness, not just today, but every day. And as you'll see, mastering your focus is only the beginning of building a life that's truly unshakable. Happiness isn't a feeling that just shows up when life is easy. It's a discipline, a daily practice that demands intention, effort, and a willingness to choose your mindset before the world chooses it for you. Most people wait for happiness to arrive as if it's a guest that might knock on their door if they're lucky enough. But the truth is, happiness is more like a muscle. If you don't train it, it weakens. If you don't use it, it fades. And if you don't claim it, the world will fill that space with stress, anxiety, and endless distractions. Think about how you start your day. Do you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, letting the noise of the world flood your mind before you've even had a chance to think for yourself? Or do you take a moment to set your intention, to plant thoughts of gratitude and purpose before the chaos begins? The difference between those two choices is the difference between living by design and living by default. When you make happiness your first priority, you set the tone for everything that follows. Gratitude is the foundation of this discipline. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring your problems. It's about recognizing what remains even when life feels heavy. You woke up this morning, that's not guaranteed. You have a mind that can think, a heart that can feel, and a spirit that can grow. These are gifts, and when you start your day by acknowledging them, you shift your focus from what's missing to what's possible. This simple act rewires your brain, making it easier to find joy even in the middle of challenges. But here, where most people stumble, they wait to feel good before they act. They wait for good news, for the perfect opportunity, for someone else to validate their worth. And while they wait, life passes them by. The discipline of happiness means you don't wait for the world to give you a reason to smile. You create your own reasons every single day. You decide that happiness is not a reward for perfect circumstances, but a habit you build in spite of them. This doesn't mean you ignore your struggles or pretend pain doesn't exist. It means you refuse to let those struggles define your entire reality. You acknowledge the hard moments, but you don't let them steal your power. You choose to act in ways that generate joy, reading something uplifting, moving your body, speaking affirmations, or simply taking a deep breath and reminding yourself that you are in control of your mind. The discipline of happiness is about showing up for yourself, especially on the days when it feels hardest. It's about doing the small things that keep your spirit strong even when the world feels heavy, and over time these small acts add up. They become habits. They become your default. And that's when happiness stops being something you chase and starts being something you live. But the journey doesn't end here, because even with discipline, there are powerful forces working against your happiness, forces that most people never see coming. And if you're not careful, they can steal your joy before you even realize it. Even the strongest discipline can be undermined by hidden enemies, forces that quietly erode your happiness from the inside out. Most people never see them coming. They wonder why, despite their best efforts, joy slips through their fingers. The truth is, happiness isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you refuse to carry. And some of the heaviest burdens are invisible. Resentment is one of the most toxic enemies of happiness. It's easy to believe that holding on to anger or bitterness will somehow protect you from being hurt again. But in reality, resentment is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. It eats away at your peace, clouding your mind and coloring every experience with the pain of the past. You cannot carry resentment and expect joy to coexist. They are not compatible frequencies. Forgiveness isn't about letting others off the hook, it's about freeing yourself. When you let go of old wounds, you reclaim the energy that was trapped in bitterness. That energy can now be used to build, to grow, to create a future that isn't defined by an old story. Impatience is another silent thief. In a world obsessed with instant results, it's easy to feel like you're always behind. You scroll through social media and see everyone else's highlight reels, comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. The pressure to arrive quickly can make you blind to your own progress, but life doesn't move according to artificial deadlines. Sometimes the delay is not a punishment, it's preparation. The truth is, you are not behind, you are becoming. If you're learning, growing, and refining yourself, you are exactly where you need to be. The moment you stop measuring your worth by someone else's timeline, you reclaim your peace. Comparison is perhaps the most insidious enemy of all. It's the cancer of joy quietly spreading every time you measure your life against another's. The world is louder than ever, constantly reminding you of what you lack, what you haven't achieved, or how far you still have to go. But happiness cannot exist where comparison rules. Your journey is sacred. Your path is unique. The only person you need to be better than is the version of yourself from yesterday. When you celebrate your own progress, no matter how small, you build a foundation of self-worth that no one else can shake. These enemies, resentment, impatience, and comparison, are masters of disguise. They show up as righteous anger, as ambition, as motivation to do more or be more. But underneath, they are robbing you of the present moment. They keep you trapped in the past or anxious about the future, never fully alive to the now. The discipline of happiness means recognizing these enemies for what they are and refusing to let them set up camp in your mind. So how do you defend yourself? By practicing radical forgiveness, by trusting your own timeline, and by celebrating your unique path. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you make space for joy to take root. And as you clear out these hidden enemies, you'll find that happiness becomes lighter, easier, and more natural. But there's another layer to this journey, one that involves protecting your mind from the outside world, and it's a battle you can't afford to ignore. Your mind is your most valuable real estate, and yet most people leave it wide open to anyone and anything that wants to take up space. If you want to build unshakable happiness, you have to become the vigilant guardian of your mental environment. Just as you wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and start rearranging your furniture, you can't allow toxic thoughts, negative people, or outside noise to invade your inner world. The truth is, what you permit, you promote. Every thought you entertain, every conversation you allow, every piece of gossip or fear-mongering you listen to, these are all seeds planted in the soil of your mind. And what you plant, you will eventually harvest. Most people don't realize how much of their unhappiness comes from absorbing the energy of others. The world is full of people projecting their dissatisfaction, their criticism, their negativity. If you're not careful, you'll start to carry burdens that were never yours to begin with. You'll find yourself weighed down by opinions, judgments, and expectations that have nothing to do with your own truth. That's why it's essential to set boundaries, not just with people, but with information, with media, with anything that doesn't serve your peace. Guarding your mind starts with awareness. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people or consuming certain content. Do you feel uplifted, inspired, and energized? Or do you feel drained, anxious, and small? Your emotions are signals telling you what to let in and what to keep out. If someone's words or actions consistently leave you feeling less than, it's time to reevaluate their access to your life. You don't owe anyone unlimited entry to your mental space. That space is sacred. It's where your dreams are born, where your confidence is built, where your future is shaped. But protecting your mind isn't just about defense, it's also about what you actively choose to invite in. Fill your environment with voices that challenge you to grow, with ideas that expand your perspective, with stories that remind you of what's possible. Seek out conversations that spark your creativity and fuel your ambition. Read books, listen to podcasts, and surround yourself with people who are committed to their own growth. The more you curate your mental environment, the more you'll notice your happiness rising, not because life got easier, but because you stopped letting the world pollute your peace. It's also crucial to monitor your self-talk. The most powerful voice you'll ever hear is the one inside your own head. If you constantly criticize yourself, replay your failures, or doubt your worth, you're building a prison with your own words. But when you speak to yourself with kindness, encouragement, and belief, you unlock doors you never knew existed. Make it a daily practice to affirm your strengths, to remind yourself of your progress, and to declare your intentions for the day. Over time, these small acts of self-respect become the foundation of unbreakable happiness. Remember, happiness is not just about what you add to your life, but also about what you subtract. Remove the noise, the drama, the distractions that pull you away from your center. Protect your mind like a fortress, and you'll find that peace and joy become your natural state, not because the world changed, but because you did. And as you master this inner environment, you'll be ready to take on the next challenge, building a life of purpose, structure, and emotional mastery that no storm can shake. If you want happiness to last, you can't leave it up to chance or fleeting moods. You need structure, a framework that supports your mind and spirit, even when life gets unpredictable. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want, but real freedom comes from structure. It's the discipline of knowing what matters most and building your days around it, not around distractions or the demands of others. When you wake up with intention, when you know your priorities and act on them, you create a sense of order that calms the chaos of the outside world. Purpose is the engine that drives this structure. Without a sense of purpose, even the best routines feel empty. You can check off every box on your to-do list and still feel lost if you do know why you're doing it. But when you have a mission, something bigger than yourself that pulls you forward, every action gains meaning. Purpose gives you a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to push through setbacks, a reason to keep growing even when it's hard. It transforms ordinary days into stepping stones toward something extraordinary. But structure and purpose alone aren't enough. You also need emotional mastery, the ability to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. Most people let their feelings dictate their actions. If they wake up tired, they drag through the day. If something goes wrong, their whole mood collapses. But emotions are messengers, not masters. They show up to inform you, not to control you. The person who is ruled by their feelings will always be at the mercy of circumstance, rising and falling with every wave of emotion. Emotional mastery means building habits that generate joy, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's about doing the things that lift your spirit, reading something empowering, moving your body, speaking affirmations, praying, visualizing your future, or simply pausing to breathe and reset. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They're the fuel that keeps your emotional engine running, especially when life gets tough. And the more you practice these habits, the stronger your emotional resilience becomes. It's also about learning to pause before you react. When you live by design, not by default, you create space between what happens to you and how you respond. You become grounded, steady, and less likely to be thrown off course by the unexpected. This is where true power lies, not in controlling the world, but in controlling your response to it. And don't underestimate the power of simplicity. Happiness isn't found in doing everything, it's found in doing the right things. Too many people say yes to every request, every invitation, every shiny distraction, and then wonder why they feel overwhelmed and anxious. Protect your time and energy like the precious resources they are. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to what truly matters. Build your days around your purpose, not your distractions, and watch how your sense of fulfillment grows. As you master structure, purpose, and your emotional state, you'll notice a shift. Life storms won't shake you as easily. You'll move through challenges with more grace and less fear. You'll find yourself smiling in moments where you once would have crumbled. And that's when you realize happiness isn't just a feeling. It's a skill, a discipline, and a way of life that you can build one intentional day at a time. But there's still another illusion to break, the idea that your happiness depends on the approval of others. One of the most persistent illusions in life is the belief that happiness is found in the approval of others. From childhood, we're conditioned to seek validation, gold stars, good grades, likes, and applause. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if enough people like us, understand us, or praise us, we'll finally feel whole. But this is a mirage that keeps millions running in circles, always chasing, never arriving. The truth is, the more you depend on external validation, the more fragile your happiness becomes. You hand over the keys to your peace, letting strangers, critics, and even loved ones decide how you feel about yourself. This addiction to approval is subtle but powerful. It shows up in the way you second-guess your choices, in the hesitation before you speak your mind, in the anxiety that creeps in when someone misunderstands you. You start to shape your life around what you think will earn you acceptance, rather than what's true to your spirit. But here's the hard reality. No matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who doubts you, someone who misinterprets your intentions, someone who simply doesn't get you. If your happiness depends on universal approval, you'll spend your life in a state of constant anxiety, always adjusting, always performing, never at peace. Freedom begins the moment you stop needing permission to be yourself. When you realize that your worth isn't up for negotiation, that your vision doesn't require validation, and that your peace doesn't depend on applause, you become untouchable. Authenticity is magnetic. The world may not always understand you, but it will respect your courage to stand in your truth. The day you stop seeking to be understood by everyone is the day you start experiencing real joy. You're no longer a prisoner of other people's opinions. You're the architect of your own identity. Building this new identity requires letting go of old stories. Too often we rehearse our mistakes, replay our pain, and identify with who we used to be. But happiness grows when you stop feeding the old version of yourself and start building the new one thought, one belief, one habit at a time. Say to yourself, I am no longer a victim of my past. I am the architect of my present and the author of my future. Your identity must not be built on trauma or the judgments of others. It must be built on truth, on purpose, and on the unshakable belief that you are enough right now. This doesn't mean you become immune to criticism or never feel the sting of rejection. It means you learn to process those moments without letting them define you. You recognize that other people's opinions are just that, their opinions shaped by their own fears, biases, and limitations. You don't have to internalize every comment or carry every judgment. You can listen, learn, and grow, but you don't have to surrender your peace. As you step into this new way of living, you'll notice a shift. The noise of the world fades, the pressure to perform dissolves. You begin to move through life with a quiet confidence rooted in who you are, not in what others think. And in that space, happiness flourishes not as a fleeting feeling, but as a steady presence that no one can take away. But there's still one more piece to this puzzle: the daily habits and rituals that make happiness your default state, not just a lucky accident. Happiness isn't a one-time event or a rare stroke of luck. It's the result of daily habits repeated with intention until they become second nature. Most people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They look for dramatic breakthroughs, waiting for a single moment to change everything. But the truth is, your life is shaped by what you do every day, not by what you do once in a while. If you want happiness to be your default state, you have to train your mind to return to joy again and again, no matter what's happening around you. Presence is the foundation of this practice. In a world that's always rushing, always distracted, it's easy to miss the beauty of the moment you're living in. We're taught to chase the next goal, the next milestone, the next big thing, always looking forward, rarely appreciating what's right in front of us. But happiness lives in the present. It's found in the quiet moments, the small victories, the simple pleasures that most people overlook. When you slow down and truly notice your life, you begin to see how much there is to be grateful for, even on the hardest days. Gratitude is the gateway to joy. It's impossible to be anxious and grateful at the same time. When you make it a habit to name the things you appreciate, 5 reasons to smile, 5 people you love, 5 moments that made you laugh, you rewire your brain to focus on abundance instead of lack. This isn't just feel-good advice, it's backed by science. Studies show that people who practice daily gratitude experience less stress, better sleep, and higher levels of happiness. Your nervous system relaxes, your energy lifts, and your outlook shifts from scarcity to possibility. But presence and gratitude alone aren't enough. You also need repetition. The mind is like a muscle, it grows stronger with use. Every time you choose to redirect your focus from worry to wonder, from complaint to appreciation, you're building mental strength. At first, it might feel forced or awkward. You might forget, slip back into old patterns, or get swept up in negativity. That's normal. The key is to keep coming back, to keep practicing until joy becomes your natural response. Rituals help anchor this process. Start your mornings with intention before you check your phone or let the world in. Take a few moments to breathe, to reflect, to set your focus for the day. Throughout the day, check in with yourself. Ask, is my current energy serving my purpose? If not, shift it. Move your body, speak a better thought, step outside, or simply pause and reset. And at night, end with reflection. Celebrate what went well, learn from what didn't, forgive yourself, and give thanks. These small acts, repeated daily, create a rhythm of happiness that carries you through life's ups and downs. And here's a secret most people miss: happiness multiplies when shared. When you become a source of light for others, offering kindness, encouragement, or a simple smile, you deepen your own joy. Not because you're seeking validation, but because giving aligns you with your highest self. The more you lift others, the more you rise. The more you share, the more you receive. This is the ripple effect of happiness, a force that grows stronger every time you choose to practice it. So don't wait for happiness to find you. Build it one present moment, one grateful thought, one repeated habit at a time. And as you do, you'll discover that joy isn't something you chase, it's something you become. But to truly make this transformation last, you need to understand the real secret. Happiness is a discipline, not a destination. And that's where the journey comes full circle. The real secret to daily joy isn't hidden in some distant future or locked away in a self-help book. It's right here in the choices you make every single day. Happiness is not a destination you finally arrive at after years of struggle. It's a discipline, a philosophy, a way of living that you commit to moment by moment. Most people spend their lives searching for a magic formula, a shortcut, or a secret that will finally make them feel whole. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts. There are only daily decisions, repeated until they become who you are. If you want to be happy every day, you have to stop waiting for life to get easier. You have to stop believing that joy is reserved for the lucky or the privileged. The world is full of people who have every reason to be miserable, yet they radiate peace and contentment. What sets them apart isn't their circumstances, it's their mindset. They've learned to protect their inner world, to focus on what they can control, and to let go of what they can't. They understand that happiness is not about avoiding pain or difficulty, but about mastering their response to it. This mastery begins with three simple, repeatable habits. First, reclaim your mornings. Don't let your day begin with noise, chaos, or the opinions of others. Start with silence, with gratitude, with a declaration of who you choose to be. This is your time to set the tone, to plant seeds of intention before the world tries to shape your mood. Second, control your state throughout the day. Life will test you, plans will go sideways, people will disappoint, and challenges will arise. But your state is your responsibility. Check in with yourself. If your energy is off, shift it. Move your body, speak a better thought, reconnect to your purpose. Don't let the outside world dictate your inner weather. Third, end your day with reflection. Before you sleep, review what went well, learn from what didn't, forgive yourself, and give thanks. End with peace, not pressure. These habits, practiced daily, will rewire your nervous system and transform the way you experience life. But there's more. The discipline of happiness means raising your standards. It means deciding that your joy is non-negotiable, that your peace is sacred, and that your mind is a fortress. It means refusing to surrender your happiness to circumstances, to other people's moods, or to the endless demands of the world. You become the guardian of your own spirit, the architect of your own reality. And as you do, you'll notice a shift, not just in how you feel, but in how the world responds to you. People will sense your steadiness, your confidence, your quiet power. You'll become magnetic, drawing opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match your new frequency. This is not about perfection. You will have hard days. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and moments of doubt. But happiness is not the reward for a perfect life, it's the reward for presence, for showing up, for choosing to meet each day with eyes wide open and a heart willing to grow. It's about embracing the process, trusting the timing, and celebrating the progress, no matter how small. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Stop searching for happiness outside yourself. Stop waiting for the world to change. Start building your joy from the inside out, one thought, one habit, one day at a time. Make happiness your superpower, your daily discipline, your unwavering standard, your gift to yourself and to everyone you meet. Because when you do, you don't just change your own life. You become a light in a world that desperately needs it. And that, more than anything, is the real secret to daily joy. Now you know the truth. Happiness isn't a finish line you cross or a prize you win after a lifetime of struggle. It's a superpower you can claim right now by making it your daily discipline. The world will always offer you reasons to be anxious, to compare, to resent, to wait for some perfect moment that never arrives. But the people who are truly unshakable, the ones who walk into every room with peace on their face and fire in their soul, are those who have decided that happiness is not up for negotiation. They don't wait for the world to hand them joy. They generate it, protect it, and share it no matter what storms rage outside. Think about what would change if you made happiness your non-negotiable standard. If you woke up each morning and before the world could tell you who you are, you told yourself, "Today I choose joy. Today I direct my mind. Today I claim happiness as my own." Imagine how your energy would shift, how your relationships would deepen, how your creativity would flourish. You'd stop chasing validation, stop surrendering your peace to people who haven't earned the right to shape your thoughts. You'd become the kind of person who lifts others just by being present, because your happiness isn't borrowed from circumstances, it's built from within. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about becoming powerful. When you make happiness your responsibility, you become immune to the chaos of the world. You stop being a victim of your environment and start becoming the architect of your experience. You realize that every day is a new opportunity to practice presence, to choose gratitude, to build habits that serve your highest self. You stop letting temporary emotions shape your permanent identity. You stop letting the past dictate your future. You start living with intention, with clarity, with a sense of purpose that no setback can shake. And here's the most surprising part. When you live this way, you inspire others to do the same. Your joy becomes contagious. Your peace becomes a refuge for those around you. You become a living example of what's possible, not because your life is perfect, but because you've mastered the art of responding to imperfection with grace, resilience, and hope. You show the world that happiness isn't a luxury for the lucky few, but a discipline available to anyone willing to claim it. So as you move forward, remember this. Happiness is not a destination you arrive at after everything falls into place. It's a decision you make over and over, especially when life is messy, uncertain, or hard. It's a standard you set, a habit you build, a gift you give yourself and the world. Every day you have the power to choose your focus, to protect your mind, to forgive, to let go, to celebrate, to grow. Every day you can reclaim your mornings, control your state, and end with reflection. Every day you can decide that your joy is yours and no one else. If you followed this journey, you already have the tools. You know the enemies of happiness and how to defeat them. You know the habits that build joy and the illusions that steal it. You know that happiness is not about what happens to you, but about how you respond, how you focus, and how you show up for yourself. The only thing left is to live it. So make happiness your superpower, not just for a day or a week, but for a lifetime. Let it be the force that guides your choices, shapes your relationships, and fuels your dreams. Let it be the light you carry into every room, the energy you bring to every challenge, the legacy you leave behind. Because when you do, you don't just change your own life, you change the world, one joyful, intentional day at a time. And that, more than anything, is the truth about happiness. It's not something you find.